Okay guys, today we're going to be talking about dilating and scale factors for figures. When we dilate something, we make it larger or smaller by a scale factor. Think of like when you go to the eye doctor and you get your eyes dilated, or whenever you come out of a dark room into the light, your pupils have dilated. It means they've gotten bigger. So we're going to do the same thing to shapes today. A scale factor is the number that you multiply by to create a similar figure. And that's what we do. So if I have this triangle, I can multiply it by a scale factor to make it smaller. And these figures would end up being similar. Same ratios, same angle measurements, just different sizes. So there are a few steps that we need to talk about, so let's move into that. Okay guys, there are a few steps to dilating a figure around the origin. You don't have to do anything with this. This is already written down in your notes. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify the coordinate points and write them down. We've done this step a lot. This should be easy for us. The second thing we're going to do is multiply every coordinate by the scale factor. And then our last step is just to plot those points. All right, let's move into how you dilate around a certain point. All right, guys, if we want to dilate around a certain point, our first step is to plot the anchor point. The second is to count the distance from that point to your other points and multiply that distance by the scale factor. And the third step is to plot the new points that many spaces away from the anchor point. So this is similar to how we rotate things. We're just making it bigger or smaller around a certain point. Let's move into some examples.
Graphing triangle XYZ using a scale factor of 3 and 0, 0 as our center of dilation. So remember, 0, 0 is our origin. So I want us to think back to what our steps are for how we dilate around the origin. And I know that my very first step is to write down the coordinates of my original figure. So that, of course, is triangle XYZ. And if I go to my X value, I see that X is at VIP appearance by Miss Filardo at -3, and my Y value is at 1. And then my Y value for triangle XYZ, my X value is at 3, positive 3, and my Y value is just 0. And then at Z, my X value is -3, my Y value is also at -3. So that's my very first step. My next step is I have to multiply my coordinates by my scale factor, which is 3. So basically what that means is I'm going to multiply every single coordinate by 3. So I'm going to take 3, -1. -3 times 3 is going to leave me with -9. And then 1 times 3 is going to leave me with 3. So my new coordinate for x prime is -9 and 3. I'm going to do that same thing with the rest of my coordinates. So 3 times 3 is going to leave me with a positive 9. And 3 times 0 is just going to leave me with 0. -3 times 3 is again going to leave me with -9. And -3 times -3 is again going to leave me with a -9. So now I have my new coordinates for x prime, y prime, and z prime. I just need to plot them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my x values. X prime is going to be at -9, 3. So I'm going to go over to my x value of -9, and then I'm going to go up to 3. I'm going to go ahead and place a dot, and I'm going to label that as x prime. Now, our next one was 9 and 0. So I'm going to go to my x value, which was 9, and our y value was 0, and I'm going to go ahead and call that y prime. My last one to plot is -9, -9. So again, start with my x value, go to -9, and then go down to where -9 is for our y value, and that becomes z prime. My last step here is I'm just going to draw the lines, connect my triangle, and as I can see, what I did here, since my scale factor was larger than 1, was I made this triangle a lot bigger. I just enlarged it. All right, that's going to be our first example. Let's move on to our second one. All right, guys, this is going to be our second example. We're going to dilate this triangle by a scale factor of 1/2, and we're going to do it around point B. So the very first thing I need to do is figure out where my anchor point is. Well, I already know my anchor point is point B, which is here at -4 and 4. The next thing I need to do is count the distance between B and C, and then between B and A, and multiply those numbers by my scale factor of 1/2. So I'm going to do C first. I'm going to start and put my pen on the B point, which is our anchor point, and you should be doing this in your video as well, Alfred. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to count from B to C. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps away. So from B to C, it's 8 units away. And I'm going to multiply that number 8 times 1/2, which is 4. So C prime is going to need to be 4 units away. Is going to need to be 4 units away from B, which is our anchor point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually just going to plot that point now so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to go back to my anchor point. I know that C prime has to be 4 units away after I multiply the distance by our scale factor. And I'm going to start at B and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And that point right there becomes C prime. And so C prime's new coordinates become -4, 0, -4. Let's do A. To get to A, I'm going to go up and then to the right. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 8 units up from B to A. It's 8 units up. And then let's go back to our point. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right. So what I need to do now is I need to take both of these numbers and I need to multiply them by my scale factor. Well, 8 times 1/2 is going to give me 4. So A prime needs to be 4 units up, but we're not done yet. I have to multiply 4 by our scale factor. 4 times 1/2 is going to leave me with 2. So it's going to be 2 units to the right. So I know that A prime is going to be 4 units up and 2 units to the right, which is half the distance for both of these. So let's go ahead and do that. 4 units up, 2 units to the right. Again, start back at your anchor point of B. I'm going to count 4 units up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 units to the right, 1, 2. And this becomes my new A prime. I'm going to draw a line between A prime and C prime, and of course B stays the same, so this is my new triangle, this little bit right here. And our new coordinates of A prime become -2 and 0. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Let's go ahead and practice.